Let me ask you something. When you mess up, when you make some mistakes, when you miss a deadline, it's something you told yourself you wouldn't, or just have one of those days where nothing feels right. How do you talk to yourself? What's the first thing that you tell yourself? For most people, it's not pretty. For me, it's not pretty. I can assure you that. And here's the thing, you probably wouldn't say that to your friend. So why do you say that to yourself? Today, we are going to talk about why that happens, and most importantly, what you can do about it, because this can really change your life and the way you experience even your mistakes. This video is about self-compassion, and self-compassion isn't about pretending everything is fine. No, not at all. Or even letting yourself off the hook or lowering your standards. It's actually one of the most practical and research-backed tools for becoming, a better person and even a more functional, emotionally stable person for yourself first and also for other people around you. So Dr. Christine Neff studied a lot like the effects of self-compassion on our self-esteem and on our way to perceive ourselves and our life. They discovered that people who treat themselves with kindness instead of harshness have less anxiety, less depression, more motivation, and even better resilience. And for me, that's crazy. This doesn't mean lowering your standards, but, reaching your standards and also being nice to yourself. That's great. So let's get into it. Today we are going to talk about seven ways to increase and improve our self-dialogue and our self-compassion. So we know that the critical voice in your head isn't something that just appeared out of nowhere, but it was built through habits, through people telling you stuff, maybe in your, childhood, or sometimes messages you absorbed growing up. Maybe in your family, love felt like conditional or based on perfection and performance. And maybe you were praised only when you got good grades, and there was no compliments when you got, lower grades. Or maybe you grew up in a culture where rest is lazy and vulnerability is weakness. That is very, very common for all of us. Or even in a culture where struggling means something is fundamentally wrong with you. And I think that is so common in our society nowadays. So social media didn't help either. We've spent years comparing ourselves to impossible and unreachable standards on the internet, like through movies, singers, and all that world. And somewhere along the way, we developed this belief that being hard on ourselves is what keeps us in line, what keeps us motivated, what keeps us going through hardships and through difficulty in life. And that the inner critic is actually useful for something, that if we ease up, then we'll fall apart. But I think there's nothing more wrong than this. So now I will share with you 7 ways we can improve our self-compassion and our self-dialogue. The first one is talk to yourself the way you talk to someone you loved, some of your friends or family. So this sounds very simple, but it's not, because most of us have 2 completely different standards. So one for ourselves and one for everyone else. If you think about it, I'm sure that you do this as well. So for example, if your friend came to you and said like, oh, I completely bombed that presentation, you wouldn't say, yeah, you're such a failure. No. You'd probably say, oh, hey, it can happen. It happened to everyone to make mistakes. We can do something better next time. You can improve, don't worry. Okay. So here's a small but powerful exercise. Next time you catch yourself in a spiral of self-criticism or self-judgment, pause and literally ask yourself, would I say this to someone I love? Because probably the answer is no. And if the answer is no, you can rewrite it, not to make it fake positive, not at all, but to make it fair, to make it not destructive, but constructive. You don't have to become your own hype person. You just have to become a decent friend to yourself. Which kind of friend would tell you that you are a failure, you know? So why do you tell yourself that? Second tip is recognize the critical voice and understand it isn't you. Don't identify yourself with that voice. The inner critic feels like it's coming from the deepest, most honest part of you. It feels like the truth, and you believe in that, but it's not. It's just a habit, a very old and loud habit. So one of the most effective thing you can do is start labeling it. Start labeling the voice and the emotion you feel towards yourself. For example, when that voice says like, you're so stupid, you're always mess things up, you're falling behind, you're a failure, you know, all that trash, instead of engaging with it or trying to argue it away, just try to notice it and say, okay, there's my critical voice again. Hello. I recognize it, and try to name it and name the emotion. That single step of naming it create distance between you and the voice. So you don't identify with that. And you are no longer inside the thought, you're just watching it from afar, from a distance. And things look very different from the outside, and I hope you can experience that too, but it gets completely different. And even the emotion, try to recognize it, try to label it, and to describe it very specifically, like, oh yeah, I feel so angry with myself because I failed that test. I failed that, I don't know, thing. And then try to understand why. I feel frustrated. I feel like disappointed in myself. I could do better. I'm just a failure. Try to label it, maybe write it down, and then describe it very, very specifically. That is the beginning of the process of healing, of improving yourself. The third thing is normalize feeling bad. You're not the only one. And I'm not saying we should normalize being a victim because we hate that. No. But that's a concept in self-compassion research. Research is called common humanity, and it basically means that suffering is part of being human, not a sign that you are broken or different or you're a failure or you're not enough or everyone else is better than you. No, we've been conditioned to experience our struggles in isolation. And when something goes wrong, the narrative is, why is this happening to me? Why me? You know? And we feel like victims and we just bring ourselves down and down. And everyone else has their life to put together, and you're the one exception. You are the one that is broken and the victim. But they don't. They really don't. No way. Loneliness, self-doubt, anxiety, feeling behind, feeling lost in your 20s, but even in your 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. Like, these aren't personal failures, they're just universal experiences. There is always even one person that is experiencing the same thing that you are. Like, for sure, we are so many millions of people on this planet. So this is why we can shift from why me to this is a part of being human. Okay, I can see it now. Something genuinely softens inside of you. You feel a little bit relieved. a little bit better. The shame decreases and the isolation lifts a little. You're not uniquely broken. You're just a person. You are okay. It's okay if you fail sometimes. Like, yeah, everyone makes mistakes. Everyone fails sometimes. It's not just the end of the world if you know, failed that test. It's okay. It's really okay. You can do it again and try again and do it better next time. So the fourth one is sit with the emotion instead of fighting it. As I said before, there's a misconception that I want to clear up, that self-compassion doesn't mean making the pain go away. In fact, the first move is the opposite. It's letting the pain exist. We usually run away, we escape, we are afraid of pain, but that is exactly the point, because a lot of us spend more energy resisting emotions, like distracting, suppressing, intellectualizing, scrolling, overworking. And the irony is that this thing we resist persists. Like the thing we resist simply tends to persist in time, you know? So instead of avoiding it, try to name the emotion. As I said before, not say like, oh, I feel like everything is terrible, I'm a failure, I will never be able to do this. Be specific. If you are disappointed with yourself, as I said before, like, say that I feel embarrassed, I feel scared, I feel angry, and then describe it very, very like specifically. Describe how you feel and where you feel it in the body. And this is the fifth point, because use your body, not just your mind. That is so important. When you feel like in emotion, there's always something in the body. Like when I feel angry because I failed at something, I feel it, for example, like a punch in my stomach. I feel something in my belly. And just staying inside my belly and feeling that emotion makes it go away slowly. Maybe it takes hours, but it goes away. And it's incredibly effective, but people underestimate it so much, especially when you're in the middle of an emotional spiral and your thoughts just won't cooperate, because your nervous system responds to physical signs. And that's why when you are in a shame spiral or beating yourself up, your body is in a stress response. And you can actually interrupt that physiologically. Yes, physiologically. And for example, a few things that work is like placing your hand on your stomach or on the part that hurts or is, hurting somehow. And even slowing down your breathing. We know how mindfulness and breathing techniques help with stress, with cortisol reduction, and anxiety in general. So, yeah, breathe, place your hand on your stomach, on your heart, on your chest, and soften your facial muscles or your jaw. Like we live our life with our jaw like clenched. If I made a mistake, okay, I made a mistake. Yeah, it can happen. Just don't get into that stress response, like fight, flight, freeze. Like, okay, calm down. You're still alive right now. Breathe, relax your muscles, relax your body, and your mind will follow. So this isn't magic. It's just how our brain and our nervous system works. So yeah, speaking to yourself gently, slowly makes a difference like in your brain and how your brain registers your self-esteem and your self-dialogue. But even doing it with your body is important, because you can change your self-dialogue, and you can also change how your body reacts to certain experiences. So simply make your body feel at ease, and your mind will feel at ease too. Yeah. And I tried that, and I think it works pretty well. The sixth step is stop using shame as motivation, as fuel to go on. Because a lot of people, like high achievers, for example, have built their entire motivational system on guilt and self-criticism. The idea is if I'm hard enough on myself, I will stay disciplined. I will be able to achieve my goals and reach my standard. If I ease up, I will go lazy and achieve nothing. But the research doesn't really support this, because shame is one of the least effective motivation like motivators for the long time, you know. It might produce short bursts of action in the present moment, but it also produces anxiety, stress, avoidance, and burnout. So it keeps you focused on what's wrong with me rather than what do I actually need and what I actually need to do. Self-compassion, on the other hand, increases psychological safety, and psychological safety is what allows you to take risks, and also like learn from mistakes, which is so important, and try again without catastrophizing everything and without feeling like you're a failure all the time. So simply reframe what you tell yourself. Instead of asking, what's wrong with me? Ask yourself, what do I need right now to move forward, to become better, to improve? So one question attacks you and the other one helps you grow. But really grow, like real grow, not fake, not simply, you know, kicking yourself in the ass and trying to get better while lowering your self-esteem. It doesn't work that way. And the seventh and last tip is turn mistakes into support and not self-criticism and not self-attack. This last one ties everything together. Because when you make a mistake, your instinct might be to go hard on yourself, to beat yourself up, or punishing yourself enough to be better next time. Yeah, maybe you think that punishing yourself will motivate you, will make you better. But all this simply makes you feel worse and less capable of responding to the situation as well. The self-compassionate response doesn't mean ignoring what went wrong. Instead, it means acknowledging it clearly and even understanding what contributed to it. And then asking yourself, what does the next best version of me need right now? And it's not telling yourself like, I can't believe I did that, I'm a complete failure, I will never be able to do better. But tell yourself, okay, that happened. Things happen sometimes. What can I learn and how do I want to move forward? So think about moving forward, not staying stuck to the failure, to the mistake, to everything that went wrong. Self-compassion doesn't remove accountability, it removes the self-punishment that happens right after the mistake or the situation that went wrong. So it allows you to improve things and to do better as well. Here's the thing about self-growth and this culture that doesn't get talked about enough. It can sometimes turn into just another thing to be hard on yourself. You're not meditating enough, you're not journaling enough, you're not healing fast enough. But we all have our own path and our own pace. So there is no right or wrong in the self-growth journey. There's just growth, you know, it's just growth. And everyone is different and everyone has a different story and a different path and a different, you know, direction. Self-growth doesn't happen through self-attack, but it happens when you feel safe enough to look honestly at yourself and acknowledge what needs to change, what needs to improve, and take action without shame pulling you down and putting you under again. So when you actually start to integrate self-compassion, not just as a concept, but actually as a real way of living and seeing yourself, a way of being, a few things shift. For example, you stop waking up every morning at war with yourself from the first hour, I don't know if this happened to you, but this happened to me many times. Like I wake up and I start insulting myself. Oh, you are so lazy. Oh, you're so unmotivated and so on. So yeah, you stop spending mental energy on that exhausting loop of I should be better, I should be more, I should do better, I should do more, I should be different, and so on. And you start having actual energy for the things that matter and for doing things, not just, spiraling. So not because life gets easier, but because you're no longer the biggest obstacle, the biggest enemy in your life. That's the whole point, not becoming your biggest enemy, but becoming your best friend. The best friend that has your back and tells you, you can do it. You will manage next time. You will do better. I believe in you. So yeah, if any point resonated with you, just try just one thing, not all 7, maybe just 1 or 2 that feel easier or, I don't know, better for you, for your life and for your current situation. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I hope this helps you in your life. I think self-compassion, self-love is so important to become better, not just bringing ourselves down and hating on ourselves. So yeah, I hope you're good. Have a great day, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.